Hello, everyone. I'm going to talk today about the plea bargain. My name is Marcel Helvers, Master Profiler through written communication. Please like my channel. Above all, share, subscribe, and if you like a video, put it on your playlist. What we do know is that Patsy wrote the note. There is no doubt about that. And one of the major reasons is there is no random intruder, no random individual who can match her handwriting that succinctly. Just with 15 similarities, it would be roughly a 1 in over a trillion chance. And with 24 similarities, like Chet Abovsky claimed, it will be 1 in 281 trillion. I found 35 to 40 matches. Here's an interesting thing as reported by Thomas, Steve Thomas, the lead investigator, in his book on page 101. The district's attorney's modus operandi was to consistently plea bargain, which eventually evolved into pre-charging negotiations. So prosecutors and defense attorneys were already negotiating prior to somebody being charged. Lawrence Smith wrote the book, The Last Christmas of JonBenét Ramsey. And in it, he said, this author was informed in July 2015 by an investigator who investigated this case starting in 2002. That Patsy admitted in a plea bargain agreement reached in the Ramsey attorney Lynn Wood's office that a staircase accident took place. Her confession was in exchange for not being prosecuted, and that would have effectively closed the case. Now, in a plea bargain, a defendant typically pleads guilty to a lesser charge, but then consequently they are convicted of the charge. They are, because they admitted to it, they are sentenced and the case is closed. In this case, however, the case is not closed and there is no one being prosecuted. So how can there be a conviction? Apparently, Patsy also stated that JonBenét landed on her head on quote unquote, some type of small blunt object. I find this admission of the staircase accident and falling on a small blunt object is an unlikely correct version of events. Although a staircase accident may be believable, the bruising on her body suggests otherwise, or the lack thereof. And a parent who sees their child fall and eventually die would know exactly what that small blunt object was and would describe it. To me, it is unlikely that this is the correct version of events. There would be no need for an elaborate cover-up. It was, after all, a true accident. And a parent who sees their child dropping on her head on a small object would know exactly what that object was and describe it in detail. And that brings us back to the district attorney's office. The DA treated the Ramseys with kid gloves. I've already discussed that. They were stonewalling the investigative team. They used the media to sway public opinion. The DA office used the media to sway public opinion in the name of Jeff Shapiro, a tabloid writer. He had District Attorney Alex Hunter on speed dial and talked with him on a daily basis, sometimes for 3 hours at a time. It also questions the hiring of Lou Smith and John Douglas. Both reputable, both clung on to a demonstrably false intruder theory. The question is why? It may also explain why Alex Hunter summoned the grand jury, and he was in charge of that, and labeled his decision as quote unquote political. And that makes sense at the moment you know what went on that night. The grand jury came back with an indictment, which Alex Hunter then swiftly denied. The grand jury stated that the Ramseys unlawfully, knowingly, recklessly, and feloniously permit a child to be unreasonably placed in a situation which posed a threat of injury to the child's life or health, which resulted in the death of JonBenét Ramsey. Again, Alex Hunter would not allow prosecution to move forward. And then there is the inexplicable exoneration letter by Mary Lacy in 2008. In it, she wrote that the family, the Ramsey family, is no longer suspect, and that she wished they could have done it before Patsy passed away. And John commented in an interview with Oprah that that was a step in the right direction. Mr. Smith, in his book, also wrote, according to my source, this plea bargain agreement is supported by documents held by the Boulder Police Department, who have refused to release them. And that may explain why the then Boulder Police Department Chief of Police, Mark Beckner, had zero interest in my communication with him back in 2007. I laid out the case, the evidence, how it all fit together, and he had no interest. And I believe the police department knew all along what happened that night and protected the Ramseys. So my question is now twofold. So there is a plea agreement. What are the particulars? And why does the Boulder Police Department then not close the case and keep it open as a cold case?